momento.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Christina Nelson Show, where we motivate, inspire, and heal. And I am excited about this evening. I know I say that like every show, but I really am excited this evening. We are talking about mental health, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Just a little bit about mental health. It includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important in every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. And my guests tonight are experts with this whole mental health, and we are going to talk to them tonight. And get your questions ready if you have any to throw up in the chat. Thank you, and shout out to everyone that's on Facebook and everyone that's on YouTube. Thank you for joining the show tonight. So without further ado, I am going to put up our next guest. It is Mr. Reese and Valisa Palmer. Hello.
Hey.
Hi, Christina.
Hey, Christina. How are you?
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, you are very, very welcome. Very welcome. A little bit of background, guys, okay? Because she's not a stranger to me. I know her through my sister. So,
Hey, Denise.
she's on. That's cool. She knew about the show. I actually had to go with her because Valisa, I didn't know she checked her messenger. You know, people don't check their messenger all the time. So I text my sister and I'm like, could you text Valisa and tell her I want her on the show, please?
Like, of course. Absolutely. I love Christina. Man, absolutely. No doubt. I love your children. They're all grown.
They're
so
all
crazy.
Grown. I think the last time I saw your son, and he's grown. Oh my God, he's
24. Grown. He'll be 25 this year. Like, ugh.
Oh my goodness. And then you have two smaller. Well, we'll get into all of that in a few. Yes. But yeah, so I've known Valisa for quite some time, quite some time.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like a family reunion, like she said here. And so we're just going to get on with the show here, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves, who they are, where they're from, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, good evening, everybody. We're Reese and Valisa Palmer, and we're actually clinical psychotherapists. Valisa is a licensed professional counselor, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist here in the great old state of South Carolina.
South
And
Kakalaki.
we're based in Columbia, our practice, and we have a practice of about 14 clinicians that we work with in our private practice, Palmer Counseling and Consulting. And Valisa and I have been practicing together for about the past 3 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah, I started off on my own.
Actually, 4.5 years.
Yeah, I started off on my own, and then I pulled her out of the school system because Valisa is also a certified school counselor.
Yeah.
So we run the practice together, and Valisa and I also work with primarily couples, doing couples and relationship coaching and counseling.
That is our niche or our niche. When I was in New Jersey, I said niche. Down here, it's turned to niche, but that's our specialty.
Yeah.
We love couples, all things couples. We love family counseling. And I also work with women who have challenges after giving birth. Maybe they have some postpartum syndrome going on, or perhaps they are challenged with life work balance issues, like just managing all the things right in life, and also trying to work, raise the kids, manage the household, go to work and show up and be present. But at the same time, how do we care for ourselves? How do we show up for ourselves? So I work with those women who look just like me.
Yes.
We kind of go and kind of walk through this together. We don't commiserate together though.
That's so important. That is so important that you don't commiserate together, because a lot of times misery loves company. We want to be like, this is what he did to me. And you're like, oh no,
girl, yes.
nothing in it. You're like,
no good.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not going to do that. No. But we can't get caught in that because we're human. Right. And so that's where that validation comes in for those ladies. Where on earth, Christina, can you sit in a chair for a whole hour and somebody's all about you?
That's
for,
right.
For 55 minutes, like somebody's going to talk about me and listen and not refute, dispute, and confuse.
It's all about me.
Okay, I can sign up for that. I'll get my own therapist too.
That's right.
That's an awesome thing. I can actually relate to that. I had my own battle with depression from years ago, and I had to sit with a therapist, and it was the most freeing thing to be able to just talk to someone and just talk. That's all I did was just talk. And she sat there and she listened to me, and she talked, interjected, but she really just talked to me, and that was just very freeing, without judgment.
Without judgment.
She just talked to me. And so I think everyone could use that. Why the mental health field? Like, what made you actually just go into the mental health field?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting story. I want Valisa to talk a little bit about what kind of motivated her. I've been in the field for 23 years. And Valisa has, I'll tell you my story, but I think Valisa...
And I can piggyback on what you say.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do. I think you heavily influenced me.
Okay.
Yeah,
So talk a little bit about your, what kind of made you make the shift from working at Verizon all those years.
And I love me some Verizon. Let me tell you, I grew up in Verizon. I worked for me. That's how your sister and I, Denise, met each other.
Right.
I love me some Denise. And so when I first started, it was Lisa, me, and Denise. And we worked in the call center, right? And we would open up people's account. Thank you for calling Verizon. My name is Valisa. How can I help you?
Oh, still got it.
I still got it in here. And so our babies were, I don't even think Christian was even around, right?
No, not at that time.
Mom was a baby. And so when I'm working in a call center, you have so many people calling and opening up accounts, and you have people from all over. Honestly, when you're on the phone for that 30, 40 minutes, like setting up and asking all the questions and the credit check, you doing counseling?
Mhm.
Oh, wow, that must be so hard. What else happened? Oh, tell me the story. And so I started getting into these stories that
Mhm.
people were sharing in these vulnerable moments of moving and
Yeah.
transitioning their lives and setting
Mhm.
up your phone service, right? Because back
Mhm.
at the day, we didn't have a cell phone.
No.
We had the
That
home
landline.
landline
Yes.
service. So
Yes.
I'm just, I'm being that person that had that smile behind that,
Mhm.
hey,
Yeah.
hi, that cheer that people
Mhm.
just need for you to show up in the world. They need that because we're
Mhm.
struggling out here. It's hard out here on the boulevard,
Mhm.
as they say.
Very
So
difficult.
basically, fast forward. I
Yeah.
meet this guy.
Yeah.
And I was always that person, Christina, in my family
Mhm.
that would truly help pull people together. I'm so sorry if you hear
That's
children in
fine.
the
Mhm.
That's fine.
Mhm.
I apologize. They usually are okay.
Mhm.
So it's okay, guys. So
Bryson,
anyway,
Bryson,
I
just
apologize.
go upstairs and fix the problem with your brother, please. BJ,
Please
BJ,
behave.
BJ. Y'all go
See,
upstairs.
it's in you guys all the time, kids and everything, counseling, all that. Fix the
Excuse,
problem.
Christina,
excuse,
I apologize.
excuse us
You're
one
fine.
moment.
You are
Excuse us
fine.
one moment.
Uh-oh.
We're
Okay.
still here.
Okay. All right. So while you're getting things together, how about telling us how you met?
Yes, we could do that. One sec.
Okay. Like I said, I have known them I've known Valisa for some time. And when she was just talking about being counselors, even at Verizon and being a tech and talking to people, I can totally relate because right now, that's what I do. I am a technician at my job. I help people with their computer problems. And sometimes people just go off on just go off and start telling me their issues and what's going on and why they're doing this and why things are happening here, and especially during a pandemic. And so I totally relate to that counseling part. Even people who are just kind of like, I can't get my password, and oh gosh, I'm so silly because you know what, my dog, he tapped on my computer and he locked it, and my cat jumped on my laptop, and I hear everything, and I just empathize with them as much as I can because I get it, because people have everyday life and real life problems, and that's what you do. And you just kind of talk them down off the ledge, so to speak, and say, it's okay. Everyone forgets their password. Everyone has these problems. I know. I hear the dog barking in the back. Oh, don't worry. I hear the kids in the background. Don't worry. It's fine. Amen. I see Sharon Johnson right on. Hello, how are you? I see Vanessa, and I see Sheila and Tanya. Thank you for joining the show tonight. I am excited. Thank you so much for being here. The Huddle, a place of healing. That's my husband. Pastor Eric is on. So thank you for your support. Every day, I was telling you guys, I understand about that counseling where you are one-on-one, and sometimes you just need that one-on-one. Sometimes you need someone, as Valisa was saying, to just talk you down, just to talk to you and make it all about you for just a few moments, for an hour. And I met Molly, her name was, and that's how important she was. And that's how much I remember and how great it was to have a counselor, is because Molly was my counselor. I still remember her name. And this is 20 years ago. And I still remember her name, Molly. And that's all I knew her as, Molly. She was great with me. And I will never just forget that, how good she was of a counselor towards me, and how, well, we'll get into that a little later. I just want you guys to go ahead and
I
tell us.
so apologize.
Okay.
We really had to go and counsel some of our own
Yes, junior partners.
junior partners in the
It's
firm.
fine. It's fine. They're saying y'all being so genuine. They have the little laughy emoji. So
I appreciate
right.
that understanding, because y'all know when you have an 8 and a 10-year-old, we'll talk about our children too.
Yeah.
I will sum it up real quick. So I guess I was saying that sitting with people at Verizon, that was one indicator.
Yeah.
Being the mediator in my family, I was the
Yes.
oldest child.
Mhm.
And so as the oldest child, you're the one who is going from mom and dad, trying to help them get it together. And then you're going to the kids and be like, okay, we're going to do this, guys. It's time to get the birthday party together. You know, you're the oldest child.
Yes.
And so growing up in those spaces, you always sat with people's stuff. And it just felt natural to me.
Yeah.
And so working at Verizon was kind of fixing parts, but then I knew I could heal hearts.
Yeah.
Right. I knew that was my calling.
That's good.
So I meet an actual counselor who wasn't doing direct counseling, but occasionally would do work with people on the side. And I'm like, this is like, you really need to do this again. Like you've done this before. You need to help because people out here are struggling. Families, I saw you working so well together. So I would just sit in with the session and he'd be working with a friend and her husband of mine, or maybe a couple people at the church. And I'm sitting there like watching him do this amazing work. I'm like, sign me up. I want to do that.
And I think also having, some early experiences with our oldest son, with Vaughn, who had some challenges in school and things of that nature, and ADHD diagnosis early on.
That's right.
That just, as a parent, you want to do everything you can to help your child. You want to give them everything that you possibly can to set them up to succeed.
That's right.
And so I think that was another big kind of influencing experience for Valisa and for us too. Just wanting to educate ourselves, wanting to know how to advocate for our child.
That was a big piece.
That was a big piece. And so by that time I had already been, as Valisa said, I had been a therapist for many years at that point. But that's what really inspired Valisa to go to Ryder. Big up Bronx. Pick up the Bronx. So she went to Ryder, and that's where she got her
grad school.
Her school counseling master's degree, and that's what started her journey into counseling.
Yeah, absolutely. So from there, when we moved to South Carolina, I think we were kind of plunged into the space of opening up a practice. Yeah.
So what happened initially, what brought us here was I actually accepted a job as the director of social services for Richland County, which is where Columbia is, the capital there, and did that for several years after we moved down here. And but always felt, again, drawn to do the work that I truly feel that God called me to do, and now Valisa and I together to do, which is the direct service, working directly with people, sitting with them in the most difficult times of their lives, the most painful times of their lives, dark, despairing times of their lives.
That's right.
That's when I always felt like I was really doing what God called me to do. I always felt invigorated. I always felt like this is what I meant to do.
Amen.
And so we were able to, make that transition. God allowed us to step out on faith, right? And practice.
Started with Reese. We hired one person, then another one. Then I joined the team and brought along some coworkers. And before we know it, we had about 6 or 7 people working with us. Wow. And then we decided to hire employees instead of contractors. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
See, now that's what I didn't know. I didn't know it was a team. I didn't know you had employees and everything. I didn't know that. I thought it was you and your husband, and that's it.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's Palmer Counseling and Consulting.
That's correct. That's correct. And so we serve our community needs. And soon we'll be a 501c3 working 501c3 rather. And we will be hopefully offering services for those who have the need but may not be able to maybe afford it or don't have the insurance. So we take insurance, we take cash, but now hopefully we can also serve people who don't necessarily have those funds to pay for services.
That's great because there are so many who don't have that.
Oh, absolutely.
But need the counseling, need the help.
That's right.
And we just want to make sure that the services are accessible to those who are underserved, and a lot of those are folks that look like us.
That's right.
Right. And so we want to make sure that we are going back to make sure we go back to our roots, which is always giving back. We've always, from the very beginning as a family, have always done outreach, done ministry. This is our ministry. We are blessed to go to work every day in the kingdom. So this is what we do as a ministry. It's not just our job. It's not how we pay our bills. I mean, it is, but it's a ministry. It's a calling for us. And so we just feel completely blessed to be able to do what we do.
Amen. I agree. Well, I concur.
I love that. I love that you call it's your ministry. It's not just like your job.
right.
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
I was told to love like your whatever you do every day. It should be something that you love that doesn't make you feel like you're working, right?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's exactly how you show up in this world,
Mhm.
under your purpose. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to work and I love what I do.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? And also getting to work with someone who you enjoy working with
Mhm.
most of the time.
Most of the time.
Sometimes we get on
We'll
each
talk about
other's
that
nerves.
later.
But it is pretty cool that I can go to him and work out
Yeah.
things, and we're separated, but we're together, right?
Yeah, and I think it really, and maybe this is something you'll ask about later, Christina, but it really
Mhm.
does. I feel like it has helped to grow and strengthen and mature our marriage and our
Okay.
relationship.
True.
Because when you work with your spouse every day,
Every day.
right? Like we are with each other all the time.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that Valisa is my best friend, so
That's true.
I enjoy being, even when she get on my nerves, I
Yeah.
still don't want her to go too far, right? I like, you be mad upstairs, I'll be mad downstairs. But don't go too far, right? So so I think that's the blessing that, we get to do God's work, we get to serve his people,
Yeah.
and use the gifts and the talents that
Yeah.
he's endowed us with to be a blessing to
Amen.
his kingdom. And that's what we really get excited about. And so whenever we learn something new, or from our own personal experience, the struggles we have in our own relationships, people just, I think, said it, jokingly a minute ago, oh, they're so real. Yes, we are real. Whatever
we are real.
we struggle with, we bring it to the table, not just from a professional or a clinical perspective,
Right.
but we also bring our personal life experiences and things that we've had to confront in our own marriage, and the sort of the obstacles and things we've had to overcome and still are overcoming, right? So
Oh wow, it's good to know you've been married that long. You could say we still are overcoming.
yes,
I like-
Every day.
Yeah,
Every day. It's a
constant
work in
It is.
progress.
It really is.
Absolutely.
I've been married 2 years to my husband, and we also 2 years. That's it. He's doing
Yeah.
this. So
Hey, woo-hoo, that's right.
Woo, woo, 2 years.
Right,
now.
big up all the husbands out there. That's right. That's right.
But in those 2 years, I realized that, I've learned so much. Of course, this is my first marriage, but I had children prior to that. I had kids. I was a single mother, and I came together with this man who we both were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So that's the first thing, both of us. And now I joined with him, just like you joined with Reese, and I joined with my husband. He had a ministry for people with multiple sclerosis, and we call it the Huddle, a place of healing. And so it's also our heartbeat. We just love doing it and serving the people. A lot of the guests that are on tonight are in that ministry. So shout out to all the Huddle family out there.
Hey, shout out.
Come through Huddle.
The Huddle.
They're so supportive, and they're always there for us. And so we appreciate them all. So thank you guys for joining in. Oh man. One thing that I've noticed is that your practice is grounded in Christian principles, and you said ministry.
Right.
So, wow. And I like that because there's such a stigma. There's such a stigma for counseling and ministry, counseling and the church, counseling. What is all that about?
I love when you say that we are not just, how did you say that we're not just Christian counselors? We're not just counselors who are Christians. How did you say that? You say it really good.
You just said it.
We're not just counselors who
happen
Christians.
to be Christians.
We are Christians first,
then we're
and
counselors.
then we're counselors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are guided by those principles, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everything we do is, flows forth from that place of our walk with Christ. And so we understand, and I think what, helps us when the work gets difficult, we go back to remember our why.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing this? Why do we believe we've been called to do this? And so what we truly believe is that every single person that God has breathed the breath of life into, he has given them a very specific divine purpose and calling on their life. And because we live in a fallen world, right? And because we are imperfect, then pain, heartache, despair, trauma, depression, anxiety, all of these things detour us. They take us off the path that God had placed us on to accomplish his purpose through our lives in the world. And so we see our work as being helping people to heal, helping people to unburden so that they can be back on that path and fully live out, fully show up in the world and walk out that God-given purpose that he called them to live out, right? And so that's what we really strongly believe, that our job is to give people hope. Our job is to help people to understand that God wouldn't bring you to it if he wasn't going to bring you through it, that is just part of this process of being refined and being prepared for that glorious mission that he has you on. And so we find it, again, this is an honor. It is a privilege. It is a blessing to be able to come alongside people and be their cheerleader and be their reminder of who they are and whose they are, right? And just help them to remember that there may be, weeping, right? Maybe weeping in the night, but that joy comes in the morning. God is faithful. He said, I will never leave you and I'll never forsake you. And so a lot of times it's just about helping people to remember that and just remembering those promises, along obviously with our training as psychotherapists, and really helping them to deal with those emotional and a lot of times thought patterns that have gotten them to the place where they're feeling stuck. So we absolutely love what we're able to do, and just to be able to see people's lives transform before your eyes. It never gets old, Christina.
It does.
I can imagine. Yeah. I can imagine to see that's the fruit of your labor, like to see someone change and actually change and everything.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, and see them happy and thriving and so excited to report back to us and say how wonderful their world is going.
See the progress, right?
Yeah, and their marriages.
Because we take evidence-based practices, Christina, and we use the tools that we've learned, or maybe tools that I can resonate with, or things that along the way I see that are helpful in various situations. We share those tools with our clients and we support them and we remind them and we encourage them. So it's all these different things that come together. And I think at the end of the day, people just want to know that you care.
That's right.
Right. When they can feel that you truly are invested and you care about them and you're sitting with them, then they know, okay, I've got a team. I can go and have that tough conversation with my mom and come back and say, hey, it didn't go as great as I thought it would, but at least I spoke my piece. I was like, girl, you better go. Come on now. You did it. And they're like, I did it. I'm like, yes, you did. Now let's talk about it.
That's right.
And then we break it down and they just feel so supported. And when I know someone feels supported, then I know I've done my job. And then I need that too. So I pray for God, Lord, encourage me for this session. I may not have it because I'm drained in my own life. And that's where that self-care piece comes in.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So we teach those skills as well. And we make sure we're practicing it for ourselves.
Yes, that was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about with all the stuff that's going on. How do you maintain your mental health? Because we also know, right, it's not just talk, it's spiritual as well. And so you have all these different things at you, it's not against flesh and blood, right? But you got all these spiritual attacks that can attach themselves to you. How do you maintain your mental health after all the day of everybody just pouring into you?
I think I'll start with that one because you definitely, I'll start with this. I'm an empathic person, right? I'm a very sensitive human being. I'm one of those people where I can see things that are going on and I may walk into a room and I feel the climate and then all of a sudden it changes for me too. And I'm like, stop it. Don't do that. But that's just something that's like a gift and it's a curse, right? But at the same time, I know that when I'm helping people, I now have to either leave. Before I get into that session, I'm praying. And that's the biggest tool that I use is prayer. The other thing I want to touch on is when we wake up in the morning, we have a routine, and we probably started this before we left New Jersey. One time we did a fast, Christina, and we knew that during that 21, 28 days, whatever it was, afterwards, it was so powerful because we connected every morning reading the Psalms, then Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes during those 40 days, or whatever it was. And afterwards, we were like, what? We got to do this because we got to have conversations. We discussed scriptures. And it was like, very empowering for me, strengthening and encouraging to get that from this guy.
Mhm.
Before I even go out in the world, before I report for work, deal with the children's, this guy, we had this time. So we were able to turn to one another and discuss what God's plan was for us for that day, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the biggest self-care, having him pray over me, having me pray over him and saying, Lord, you know, I'm supporting him. He's covering me, right? So that's the first thing.
Amen.
The second thing is the self-care that I know is what the world sees as, oh, I go get my hair done, massages, my nails, and I take care of myself. That's wonderful to do all those things on the outside, and we need that. But also, I probably need my own therapist. So after each pregnancy, I knew something wasn't right. With me, when I get pregnant, I go through something hormonally that lasts for that next year. So that's how I identify with those postpartum ladies. That was me. So I knew I need my own counselor. So just finding a counselor to support me. And then after I said, okay, this is good. And those were seasons where I got that support, Christina. And then, of course, as I go and show up for these ladies, I'm making sure that I breathe. I have tools like tapping. Like before I go into a session, I'm making sure my stuff is not coming in the session with me so I can be fully present for them.
That's
so
good.
So many things, but those are just a few ways that self-care for me shows up.
Yeah.
Would you agree with them?
Yeah,
What would you do
I
as
think,
a man?
Absolutely no. It's not even so much about, you know, as a man. I think that you really covered all of them because a lot of our self-care is what we do together. You know, we take care of each other. And one of the primary ways that we do that is we feed each other's spirit. So every morning, like Valisa said, we still do it. You know, we sit down, and, you know, we usually get up somewhere between, 5:30, 6 a.m., which, you know, Lord knows that's divine intervention because I am nobody's morning person. So,
I'm a morning person.
Exactly.
Now,
But it's just like marriage, you know, it's really, a part of marriage. You got to sacrifice, you got to make it happen. You know, Valisa's not a night person. She's more of a morning person. I'm more of a night person and a night owl. But, you know, we just determined that in terms of our overall life and schedule with kids and work, this is the time that really is most realistic. And so I had to bite the bullet. I had to take one for the team, right? I had to figure it out, you know. And so, you know, we get up, and if the other one's still kind of, you know, hitting the snooze, we just sort of kind of gently wait for them, and then we get into our devotional. We spend about an hour or so every morning in devotional before the boys wake up. And, you know, we're in church every Sunday and every Wednesday for midweek Bible.
That's right.
And we're always in the Word. We try to stay in the Word because, you know what, it's hard out here on the boulevard. You know, we need to stay prayed up. We need to be, we need to be covered. And so that is our number one primary self-care is our spiritual life. Yeah. God replenishes everything every day. We ask him for this day our daily bread. I ain't even gonna worry about tomorrow yet. Just give me enough for today. But one of the other ways that are more practical also that Valisa said that people will probably relate and identify with as well is that we are very serious about our time off. When we take time off, like we went on a cruise hard and we play hard with the boys and we took them on spring break, took a cruise. And we love being near the water. We are beach people. We love going and exploring different coastal towns and going to different islands. And we've been to Tybee. We've been to Hilton Head. We've been to everywhere in Charleston. We've been to Myrtle Beach. Wherever there's some beach, we've been there.
Florida.
From Florida to North Carolina. And we've been to all of them. So that's our time to bond as a couple. That's our time to bond as a family. That's our time to relax. But you know what, Christina, another thing is that it's a spiritual thing, because whenever we are sitting there looking at that horizon and looking at that beautiful sky and looking at the birds and the seagulls and the sand and all of that, how can you not know that there's a God? It just, it's such a wonderful, again, way to recharge and replenish, but also to reconnect with God and stay connected to God. So that is one of the ways that Valisa and I cut up a lot. You could tell this is our personality. We laugh. We both love to dance and love music. So we just act like big kids a lot of times.
We do.
So that's our self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that a lot. I also see that you deal with families.
Yes.
So when you say that, do you mean like whole families will be in
Yeah.
there?
Remember that family of
grandmama and
10?
them, everybody.
Yeah, we had a family of 10 one time.
And they were all adults. The kids were all grown.
All adults.
Really?
All adults. 3 of them were on the line. One was overseas somewhere in what we can't really say, but they were overseas in Europe. The other one was 2 were in California, and the rest of them were in our office. Reese took out his board. He went along, and we do things called genograms and who's connected to who,
like family trees,
who's sitting there, who has alliances, who's this. And so we're looking at these patterns, and then it shows up, and then all of a sudden it's like, we call it the negative cycle. The negative cycle will ensue, and you can see where things started and where we need to interrupt those patterns. Right? We love it. We think that that's the most effective way, is looking at the system, Christina, and the system is the village, the whole family.
Yes.
And so, interestingly enough, that is the family that we saw in our office a couple of years ago. This is pre-COVID, obviously, but that was the family that kind of it clicked for me, and I do believe it was also God saying, "Hey, I really want you to focus on marriages." Because ultimately, what we did was we met with the family initially, but the more we started doing the work, it was really unresolved issues with the mother and the father's their marriage.
It was mom and dad's marriage.
Yeah, and
that
so
affected everybody,
all the kids, everybody were affected by the marriage. And so, coming from a program when I was an undergrad and in graduate school in marriage and family therapy, and that's usually where a lot of the challenges start for the family, right? Mom and daddy, because when they're struggling, everybody's going to feel it, right? And that's the way we approach doing the work as family. It was called family systems therapists. We look at the whole family as a system of interconnected parts, right? Kind of like a watch, those little gears inside the watch, one spins and rubs against the next one and spins that. That's how families are. Everybody's affected by, from the youngest to the oldest. And so that's what we are looking at when we're working with a family, is how is this whole family, reacting and responding to the various life stressors and things that are going on for them. And a lot of times when the kids come to us and the parents are bringing the kids in, the kids are usually not really the issue. The child is just a lot of times reacting to, responding to, and acting out the stress of the family.
Come on now.
Right? And so what I believe God was calling us to is that, hey, the family, the root of it is that mother and father, that marriage. And so the most bang for the buck, I believe, when you're doing therapy, is working with that couple dyad. And my graduate professor, she used to say all kinds of stuff. God rest her dead. She's gone now, but she used to say all these like profound things. And she looked at me one day and she said, "Reese, all therapy is couples therapy." She said, "All therapy is couple therapy."
Okay.
What that means is that, number one, we all come from a couple. We all came from a dyad of a mom and a dad, right? And so a lot of what happened with that relationship is a lot of times why we in therapy. So we're looking at that family dynamic all the time. Even if it's an individual person in front of me, I want to know where you came from, because that's going to tell me a lot of your story.
That's right.
That makes sense.
We call it echoes from the past, Christina, or your family boot camp. But you know how when you're in the military, you go through boot camp, and then afterwards you go to your different AI assignment. Well, that boot camp experience will dictate the training that you got there is how you result in the rest of your military career, right? So your family that you grew up with, mommy, and by the way, your mother's beautiful. I miss her. I love her.
Thank you.
But that family that you grew up with those habits, the culture, all of that dictates how you choose, shapes who you are and who you choose in the world as your friends, your partners, your job. Many times it comes from your experience as a child. 0 to 25, because they don't get out at 18. I don't know who told that they're still around.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. But yeah, so those experiences during those years shape the rest of your life, whether you like it or not. Many times your daddy issues and your mommy issues come, you still have unresolved issues.
That's right.
And that's what we talked about on Sunday. But that is what we deal with. We do past interviews with one partner, and then we'll go to the other partner, and then we'll bring them back together, and we help them to find out what their dynamic is with each other. What is your negative cycle? And we teach them.
And some of it, again, is professional clinical training, things that we've learned through education and training and continued, professional development. But a lot of it, Christina, is stuff that we've experienced, and we've had work our way through it, pray our way through it, scrap our way through it, and finally arrive on the other side, praise God. And we let people know, our journey may not look exactly like yours, but we learned some things along the way that we think will bless you.
That's right.
And so that's what we share.
Yeah.
It's wonderful that you actually bring your journey into it. You don't hear it a lot, especially with therapists, like, well, let me share what, went on with us. I believe in that so much because the words does say that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of our testimony. So as you tell your testimony, someone is being like, wow, you guys went through it,
right?
Yes,
ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
You look at people and they think that everyone has it together, or you appear to have it all together, and then when you break down and tell someone your testimony, they're like, oh my gosh, wow, I never thought that was you, or you did something like that too, or you felt these things too.
And ultimately what our goal is to let people know, but God. This is how we got. That's really the message, because at the end of the day, our goal is to glorify and honor him in everything we do, especially in this covenant relationship. That's what it's for. Everything he has given to us is for the purposes of honoring and glorifying him. This is not for us.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Okay, this one here I wanted to talk about, the adolescence. When you offer therapy, adolescence, that's a whole different adolescence. So what, like teenagers or?
Yeah, I love the teens. Yeah, the teens are cool. I started my career working with teens. Yep, I worked at a youth and family.
And you were a counselor, so Valisa, and you were a school counselor.
And they love Mrs. Palmer.
Miss Palmer, and they come in my office and sit in my chair like, he broke up with me. Oh my gosh. Or
Lord,
serious. I'm having thoughts that I don't want to be here anymore. And so with those, okay, well, let me close the door. What's going on? And so, just sitting with that pain and helping them to resolve it and saying, hey, I really think we do need to bring mom or dad in and have these tough conversations, or maybe not bringing them in and saying, okay, tell me what's going on, and kind of crying with them and, sometimes praying with them, maybe not openly, but in my spirit, I'm praying for you. But I love teens. I do. But I must preface that by saying many of those teens, a lot of the issues that they're going through, what they say, the sins of the father or the sins of the mother. Absolutely. That's what we learned again, recently, is that many of it is stemming from their environment. Something that's stressing them out is presenting in other areas of their life. The friends they choose, drugs that they're taking, the behaviors that they're acting out, they're not doing that just because I just want to be cool. They're doing it because something's missing or something happened. And so I don't say, what's wrong with you? I say, okay, what happened? What's your story? What happened to you? Not what's wrong with you. What happened to you? Right? Because hurt people hurt. And that's what's going on.
And then also just sort of the biological piece of it. Teens are going through so much with their bodies. They're growing. They're not grown yet. They're still kids. They're still children, but they think they're grown, right? Absolutely. So sometimes the bodies look like they're developed and they're grown, but the minds are still of children, right? And so it's very, very difficult. Someone described it once as, teenagers are being like, putting a toddler behind the wheel of like a Ferrari. They've got these fast, strong, physically developed bodies and can go from 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds, but their minds and their emotions are not there yet. And so that's really the challenge working with teens, But we do know developmentally, when you look at child development, the teen years is when you are sort of forming your identity, how
Yes.
you're going to show up in the world.
That's right.
And so that's why there's a lot of kind of trying on different things and doing this and this peer group and this sport and this activity. You're trying to kind of find who you are.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a wonderful time, especially as Christians, even if they're not, necessarily believers or come from a family, to say, listen, God has a very specific plan and purpose for you.
That's right.
As you're going to, out there and exploring in the world and different things, just remember that God has a very specific plan for you.
That's right.
And it may not be exactly what mom and dad want you to do. It may be something, you may be into the arts. You may be more of a dancer. You may be an artist, and mom and dad want you to go to law school. They want you to be this or that, right? And so it's really about helping the family and that child to support what is God's calling on this person's life. It's not my calling or your parents' calling, so teens are a lot of, they can be tough, but man, once you crack that exterior shell and they let you in, they are really, really good in therapy because they want somebody to hear them. They want to be heard. Yeah.
They do. And in the long run, I believe children or kids, especially teenagers, want someone to talk to. They do want to be not told what to do, but they do want direction.
They need structure. Yeah,
Structure.
they absolutely need that structure because I can be friendly to you, but I'm not your BFF.
Yeah,
I'm your mom, and so as your mom, I want the best for you. I'm going to provide this.
Yep.
And so I was going to say in therapy, I was actually talking to someone just today. She has an 11-year-old, right? And she said, she done burned her bridges with her father. And she's done this and ruined all these relationships. And everybody's pretty much checked out of her life. And I'm thinking, she's 11.
11, yeah.
There's no way that a child can burn a bridge from their parent. No. That child needs constant support, constant redirection, constant structure, and they need to have that stability in their
11.
life.
And my 24 and 33-year-old call us almost every day.
They do call us and need
guidance.
that support and structure. And guess what? If I get mad at them or they get mad at me, it's okay. I still love you.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be this person. And same thing with therapy. You might be mad at me because I'm challenging a behavior that looks just not that great, right? So let's talk about why we're acting out in this way. Let's kind of let's examine some of these things. And so we look at our thoughts, right? And then we challenge the thoughts, and then we look at the behaviors, and then we know that we can maybe give you a more positive tool instead of a negative way of acting out.
That's right.
So I'm still going to love you. I'm your therapist. I'm still going to show up next week at 3:00. I hope you're going to be there and they'll come in. And I'll be like, you good? What's the headline this week? Well, I did go to the prom. I didn't like my date, but I had fun. I'm like, hey, you went to the prom. Let's talk about it. And then other stuff comes up. Why are you smoking that weed? What's going on?
Yeah.
Wow.
What you got that vaping for? What you doing?
Yeah, it really is.
And we get with you now, but at the same time, we love you through that.
Yeah.
That agape love.
Wow. And like you said, and it all still comes down from the head, the house, the parents, whether they're there or not there.
That's right.
Does mom and dad, where's the structure? Where are they? Well, they work overnight shifts, so I can have my girlfriend over. Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we find out all kinds of interesting stuff.
And we hold a lot of it because some of my young adults are 17, 18, 19. So if they're 18, 19, it's just me. I'm not calling mom. I'm not. It's confidentiality between you and I. So I'm gonna support you while you process, and we're gonna walk through this and figure out more healthy habits.
Yeah.
That's wonderful to know that they can trust you that way, because a lot of kids will be like, I don't know, she might call my mother.
Most of the time I'm not, unless you're putting yourself in danger or you're endangering someone else or a crime is being committed, and then I gotta call somebody.
But like I said, we're also because we are so oriented to the family and how the family
Thank you,
impacts
Reese.
every member, we're going to try to involve your family anyway.
And you're going to tell them.
And you're going to tell them. And
Oh,
that's
wow.
exactly what we try to
Support you
do.
while you do that.
That's right. Okay, Andre, let's talk about this. How are we going to tell your mom about this, right? Because at the end of the day, we are of the mindset that it is our job to work ourselves out of a job.
Yeah.
We're not going to be your therapist forever.
No.
We can't go home with you,
No.
right?
Right.
We get
I'll
you
for 1 hour
maybe an hour a week tops.
Mhm.
That's on the high end. We're going to see you an hour. And then the rest of that time, you're home with your family in that environment, dealing with life, whatever life is throwing at your family.
Mhm.
So I have to then, as best as I can, try to involve mom, try to involve dad.
Yeah.
Meemaw live in the house too? Yep, bring
Meemaw
Meemaw
too.
too. Let's talk to grandma too. Bring her on in.
Older brother home from spring break.
We got to
bring
talk
them
to
on in.
everybody, because at the end of the day, what God created the family for is to support and nurture each of the members to again live out what He's called them to be. And so our families are incubators. Sometimes we need to tweak it a little bit. Make sure it's warm for all the little chicks.
Turn up the little lamps a little bit.
Right?
How? When still the pandemic, it's still here, but did things rise when you were during the pandemic? Did you find that it was more people needed?
I think our practice doubled in 2020.
Yeah, I think 2020 was actually one of our best years in terms of just the growth.
The growth had to grow because the need was so great. It was really scary for us because for a moment, insurance, the whole world shut down for like 3 months. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then when we realized in May, we're like, okay,
late February, March, April, May.
Memorial Day, they was like, oh, the pandemic gonna be gone by Memorial Day. And it wasn't.
No.
Yeah.
And so I think once Easter passed and Memorial Day came, and we were like, oh, we're gonna be in this.
Yeah, it's gonna be
fun. They were talking about surges. We were like, what's a surge? What that mean? Right? Everybody remember. So then we were like, we're in June and people are struggling. People been in the house with that person. They ain't been, I'm normally not home with you all day. I'm driving trucks across the country. Kids are going to school. I got, but now kids are home.
All day.
Homeschool, we all at home, school at home. It wasn't homeschool. You here in my space, you can't go to work or you got laid off. I'm here. We fighting.
A lot of conflict, a lot of tension, definitely increase in depression, definitely increase in anxiety, a lot of, just more family stress and strife and conflict. A lot of couples. We saw it go either one way or the other. And we see this a lot anyway with couples. Trials and stress and storms in your life can either bring you together or drive you apart. It really can do either.
We saw both.
Yeah, we did. We saw a lot of couples get stronger, but then we also saw a lot of couples that were already kind of hanging on by a thread.
Okay.
And that was like almost the straw that broke the camel's back when the COVID pandemic started.
A lot of struggle.
But it actually helped us. It helped us to lean and trust even more so on God. Yeah. We had to pivot. We went from doing 100% office-based in-person counseling to telehealth, which we had not really done before on a regular basis.
And insurances weren't covering that in March and April, but in May, a lot of emergency, things got handed down. I think it was kind of like the end of April.
Yeah.
Insurance started covering it, and we were able to provide telehealth. So now it's like the platforms. There was no Google Meet and all these other things, but now it was only Zoom.
Zoom was still trying to figure out some things
because everybody's on, this way that we're talking. Was there even stream? I think it was StreamYard back then. But either way, the world had to pivot. And so once everybody I think that summer, everybody started really getting acclimated to this new online presence, and Facebook surged, Instagram surged, like all these things. Like, this is how we communicate now. Instead of going out, we're now having to be together apart. And that's why I saw a post that said the world had to come together while we were apart.
Yeah,
right?
And it did. And it did.
I like that. The world came together while we were apart.
Yeah. So we tried to be that support in that time. We tried to, it took us a while to figure it out, and it was stressful, but we prayed and we said, Lord, send encouragers.
We worked it out.
Lord, send help. He sent help. He sent people to come work for us. He sent people to help us with intakes and
technical support. We needed guidance and coaching.
We had people that we just had to hire coaches and hire people, VAs, virtual assistants. What is a virtual assistant? people just helping, and we had to pull together a team, and I think we got stronger. We got closer.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So in trial, beautiful things can grow. Under pressure, beautiful things can thrive. And
count it all joy.
We had to count it all joy. We had to.
That's one. My husband and I got married January 2020, and then a couple of months later we were in the pandemic.
Seriously. January.
Born in the fire.
February, March.
That's it.
And we were together. I started working from home, and then so we were together 24/7, literally. But we went that way. That was total opposite. We weren't like on each other. We were just we enjoyed being together and me working from home, and I enjoyed working from home and being able to be there because I saw it the opposite way. I think I saw it as, wow, we just got married and now we get to really get to know each other.
Yeah,
I was going to say that was an amazing blessing. That
do some
right
nesting
in the midst
together.
of your honeymoon, you got to really truly experience your husband.
Really. Yeah. So now that I'm starting to ease back into work, we're kind of like, oh wow,
I don't want to go back to work.
During the day now.
Yeah, right.
That's like those pandemic kids that we see. They're not used to being apart from their mom. Preschool was home, and they're being torn apart in the first and second grade instead of preschool and kindergarten. So we saw a lot, but it was a challenge. But when you pray and you ask God to work it out, we don't have to work it out. Let him do the worrying and all that. We'll just do the work. You worry. I'll give my word to you, and you let me work through your word. So
now, do you still see people virtually as like? So let's say someone from New Jersey said, "I want you guys." Can they? Well, how does that work? If that
so we actually try
licensed in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, I'm licensed as still as a marriage and family therapist in New York, but we actually are. I don't know if we mentioned this at the beginning that we actually started a coaching business earlier this year as well. Okay. So coaching is slightly different from counseling and therapy. So therapy is more for more serious issues. We got one or more couple partners of the couple that are struggling with, a diagnosis of some sort, depression or anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder, those types of things. You need counseling to help you with your marriage, because you've got some other issues that are, some other presenting issues with your mental health that's going to obviously make it more difficult.
Right.
But coaching is generally, for folks that have, a fairly good marriage. There's some definite room for improvement. There may be some historical things that they haven't been quite able to get beyond or get past and heal from. They need a lot of strategies. They need a lot of coaching and help around effective communication, about, how to effectively problem solve and conflict resolution.
That's right.
And just trying to really get to a place where they understand each other better. So coaching gives you, sort of that step down where it's not maybe necessarily as severe and serious, or maybe you didn't just find out that there's infidelity going on. That's counseling. We need to really deal with those crises in that that environment.
Like if that's still going on,
right?
But if it's infidelity recovery, then we can certainly help you with it, because that's a goal, right? I think coaching is more goal oriented. So if we're working on getting you from this place in your marriage, maybe you're just surviving, but you want to thrive in your marriage. We want to take you from surviving to thriving. We want to take you from hurt to healing.
From roommates to soulmates.
Come on now. Keep on doing
that.
I like that. From roommates to Christine, let's be honest. We could be roommates kind of existing.
That's right.
Right? In a space together. It's cheaper to keep her is the thing, right? But we don't want to live like that.
No, that's not
God's,
God's calling for our marriage at all.
I remember someone said, I came home, before I went in the house, I just put my head on the steering wheel and just said, Lord, I don't want to go in this house. Lord, give me strength every day, right? We don't want you to be like that. We want you to actually be like, oh, I'm coming home, baby. What's that old show? Baby, I'm back.
Oh, you're dating us now. Woo, you're dating us.
I'm old. I love y'all. But that's the thing, you want to come into the home and be excited about your marriage, or at least just be proud that we're in this union together. It's not always going to be rainbow Skittles and unicorns.
Absolutely.
You want to be happy. You want to be like, I love this guy and I got your back.
I got your back too. You know that?
That's how it needs to be, you know,
Yeah.
because we had to work on our marriage. It's
Yes.
not going to always be easy. We have to be intentional about the time we spend together. We have to do our date nights and honor that time. You know, I'd be like looking for my Friday afternoon dates. I'm like, okay, you on this call and we supposed to be over here
At dinner.
at the Mexican fajita place. Like, what's going on? So, you know, we honor that time together. We work hard. We just had a blow up last night and it was not easy. It was over a haircut from our 8-year-old. You know, one person, we didn't agree and then other stuff came up. But afterwards, I have to humble myself. And that's not easy. The tools we learn help us to come back and bridge that gap.
I see.
We don't agree about the haircut, but guess what? At the end of the day,
in the grand scheme of things, you know, it's like we both understood that, you know, the more important, you know, priority is our unity and our connection. And we may have these moments where we blow up and because we're both very strong-willed people, as you can probably tell, you know, so we're both opinionated and don't mind telling you our opinion, right? But at the end of the day, God brought us together for a reason because we're better together than we are apart, you know.
And we both have feelings. And so I can't invalidate what he's saying. You know, he wants the baby to have a haircut. And I'm thinking.
And that's like a man thing, you know, like that's my boy. I got to have him looking right.
We got to be on Christina's show. We can't move that client. And this was today. I'm like, oh, no, we can't do no haircut. We got all the things. So I have to honor his feelings. So we don't agree, but at the same time, I'm not going to disrespect you because if I do disrespect you, I got to apologize. So I got to come back and say, I didn't mean to raise my voice like that, but I just wanted you to hear my heart. And so we have tools specifically that we had to learn that we teach our clients.
Okay.
You know, so it's not just us teaching you like this is how to do it. This is us experiencing these things and living it every day.
Absolutely.
And when we fall, we take the tool to help us get back up, so we stand it back up again. Because Lord knows the world's gonna knock us over, and sometimes He might knock me over.
And what
then I'll get up and He'll pull me up.
And what we learn
knock
from
me
that,
over with His words. Knock me over.
Yeah, what we learn from that is that you know, this when we are sharing certain things with people, it's not because we read it in a book and we think it'll work.
Sure.
That's part of it. Obviously, we know that we read the research. Again, our approach is always research-based, evidence-based practices. That's how we were trained. That's how we were educated in our field, in our craft. But at the end of the day, we go through some things and we learn how to get through those things. Most of it is really only about keeping your hand in God's hand. It's really about that. And then what we are ultimately sharing with you is our testimony. Because if He did it for me, He can do it for you. He will do it for you, right? And so a lot of times it's not. We think it'll work. We know it will work if you do it God's way.
That's right.
You leave it to me, it ain't gonna work. I'll mess it up.
If I put all my faith in Him, He's gonna disappoint me. That's know, I absolutely have to put my faith in God. Someone just said to me, I get my validation from God, but at the same time, I still need Him every now and then. Not every now and then. I need you often to lift me up and encourage me as well. So if I can do that, then I can go back and show up in the world. You know, and that's where counseling is too. Counselors help to encourage you, strengthen you, give you tools, dust you off so you can get back up, show up in the world authentic, right? Your genuine self.
That's right.
So that's I hope what we can offer to people. And I hope that light that I receive from Him, I'm a lighthouse, shines me onto you with tools and God's loving embrace that you can do what you need to do to fulfill your purpose.
And that's what we pray for, is that God fills us up. And so when my cup runneth over, then I got plenty to give to everybody else.
Amen.
Because I'm good. My Father always takes care of me, so I got plenty to give out. So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it.
Amen.
I love everything. Everything you've said this evening was just like so on. You even given me the tools for necessary for like couples who work together in ministry and how to, you know, aside from the ministry, how to come together still and pour into one another and love on each other and not to let it overtake us,
Yeah.
because ministry can overtake you to the point where
Oh,
you
absolutely. Absolutely. You got to keep the first things first. And the first ministry I have is this to this woman. That's my first ministry. So if I mess up, goal and priority number one, mission number one, it don't matter how well I do with everybody else and how many other marriages I bless through this ministry. Mine is jacked up, right?
Because a lot
If
of
my
people don't
house is
think
jacked
that.
up, you
They
got to
feel
be,
like, well, this is my burden, my family, or this is my God-given, but this is your first ministry. You can go out here and do all these things, all the things for everybody else.
That's right.
But if you haven't covered your family, giving your children what they need,
you're out of order.
Then you're out of order.
You are. Oh wow! First
that was what God told us to do. He said in Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. Can you tell us what? Because I know I have to look it up.
Yeah.
But it basically tells us a command on how you're the greatest commandment. And it talks about how you're supposed to care for your family, teach your children in the way that they should go, tell them when they wake up, tell them when they lay down,
tell them as you walk along the road, So
put it on their forehead
all the time.
All the time. You're teaching your children how they should be first. And then you can go out and do everything else for all the other people, because now your family can be that pillar in the community to be available to help. But if I'm all jacked up and raggedy, I can't, how am I going to show up for anybody else?
Yes.
Right. And occasionally people will disappoint me and knock me down and say cruel words, say slightly, what do they call it when somebody's just passively aggressive?
Yeah.
And so that might happen, but who can I go to?
That's right.
This person is strengthening me, or like I said, a counselor. If you don't have that steady person in your life, seek out a coach.
That's right.
Seek out a counselor. There's coaches for everything, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Everything.
I've
right?
seen it. Yeah.
Even uncoupling, like you want to know how to get divorced, come see me. I'll help you get divorced. I'll tell you what
divorce
to
coach. Yeah.
That's right? ADHD coach. There's so many different coaches.
Everything.
So
that's right.
Seek out a coach. Seek out a mentor, right? There's people who publicly mentor. And I never knew that was a thing because I was a big brother, big sister to two precious girls who are now grown women with their kids. And that made a difference. I did it for free, but there's people who you pay to mentor you, right?
Oh, wow.
To counsel you. So there's ways that you can show up for people, or you can just say, I'm feeling alone. I need support. Let me go out here and figure out where I can get that from. And that's why our village is so important, Christina. We have a Facebook group called The Village of Rock Solid Relationships.
Yes.
It is a rock.
So
the rock is Jesus.
Yes, the rock is Jesus. And
in case you didn't know.
Yeah. And this group is so powerful because the whole premise of it, Christina, is that you can come to a place where when you're getting married, right? Remember your wedding, how beautiful it was? Remember it? And so when you got married and the family came out, you had your beautiful white dress on, your husband was looking all handsome, y'all come there and you say your vows, and mama and them is there, and daddy and them is there, and everybody's there, right?
Yeah.
So everybody, all the friends. And then what happens when you go home, right?
Right.
Where's your support? Where are those people when you need them? Or y'all having an argument, or somebody gets sick, or somebody needs something? Where's your village?
Yeah.
And so we want to be that space that's safe for you to come and receive support and receive those reinforcements that call in the reinforcements. We want to be that voice that you can come and just chat with us or just listen and maybe talk to other people. And so we're closing in on 500 people in the village of rock solid relationships. And so that's just a really nice place.
That's a lot.
We come every week. Every week, two times a week. And we talk about Flirty Fridays is where you connect. And we intentionally show couples how you can connect each week with your mate, with your fiance, your partner,
date
your spouse.
night ideas.
Just we connected through a project we did in our garden, just kind of cutting up and acting silly. So that's like a 5 to 10 minute video. And then on First Fruit Sundays, we have a powerful lesson that we teach you about, different problems that show up in your marriage. And so you can come and learn about, how to communicate. It's really not about communication. It's sometimes about the root and not the fruit. If you're reaching for that low hanging fruit, you're not really understanding that sometimes that stuff is a distraction. We want to get to the root. And how do we do that? Well, tune in because you can find out those tools. Right?
And
So-
a lot of times the topics also come
Yeah.
from the village.
Yeah.
So people will post things in the room, in the group. We'll sometimes do polls or we'll ask questions and things will come up, parenting and blended families and in-laws and intimacy and all kinds of stuff come up, right? And so that gives us, a lot of our topics for First Fruit Sunday. And so what we do is present that information. We give some, quick tips and strategies, but our real goal is to encourage people that when we do these First Fruit Sundays is to make you more aware and be mindful and intentional in this upcoming week. Like when you go to church every Sunday, right? Kind of sets you up for the rest of the week. You know, that's what we look at it as, is that's to get you,
it's an encouraging,
encouraged
time.
and you a focus for the rest of that week.
Yeah. We hope that's what it is.
So if this was called the Village, Rock
Solid relationships.
Okay.
And it's a Facebook group, and it's under our page, which is His and Hers Couples Coaching. Thank you for putting that up.
Yeah.
So His and Hers Couples Coaching is the other side. So this is the coaching side, right? So we have the clinical counseling side, and then we have the couples coaching. So we work with couples. We provide one-on-one every week. We work with
speaking engagements, do workshops.
Go to churches and speak, and we go to things in our community.
Yeah,
we teach couples how to thrive in their relationships.
Yeah, and one of our premier marriage workshops we do is called A Marriage After God's Own Heart. Yeah. And so, obviously that's a play on words of David, and David was known. But the reason why David was known that is because of his humility, because of his awareness of his frailty, right? And his and so that's the way we are with our marriages, right? We have to have that same type of presence before God, that we need him for everything. So absolutely we need him for our marriages. So we talk about in A Marriage After God's Own Heart, we remind people what a sacred institution this is. This is a covenant relationship. And by nature, a covenant is sacrificial.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get married thinking what they're going to get out of it. They're going to get companionship. They're going to get financial stability. They're going to get a house. They're going to get children. They're not thinking about what they're going to bring to it, what they're going to give, how they're going to serve. And that's why a lot of people are disappointed, because they don't realize, beloved, that when you get married, that is about service.
Yeah.
Marriage is about sacrifice. It is a relationship that is, again, by nature, a covenant. And we know that God showed us what a covenant is. If you do not sacrifice, if you are not the type of person that understands that you are there to serve, you will always be miserable, because you're sitting back waiting for somebody to give. That's not what marriage is about. Marriage is, how can I serve my spouse like Jesus washed their feet? It is about service. And that's why people get it twisted. Because if you have two partners that have been married to God first, Son Jesus Christ, that first marriage has occurred first. That first covenant has been established first. Then when this second one happens on the day of our marriage, I've already made a commitment to him that I'm going to treat you the way you told me to treat this woman, because I'm trusting and believing and submitting to him first.
You about to preach up in here.
It's all right to say amen.
Amen.
The point I'm trying to make is that if that relationship is not intact, there's no way I know how to love this woman. I have to be in the right alignment and to have the right relationship with God first. I marry him first, then I marry her. And so when we start having struggles, I can't be like Adam, like, it's this woman you gave to me, God, it's this woman. No, the first thing I have to do is be humble and say, look at me first. Fix me first. Like David says, search my heart, find it. Whatever it is in me, Lord, find it. Please. And that's the type of relationship that I have to have with God, so that I can show up and be the covering and the headship and the servant leader that my wife and my family needs me to be.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
It's powerful.
We're going to go through some of these comments here because a lot of people are just like, bam, bam, bam. And
Oh,
so,
wow. I was trying to look. If you saw me looking down, I was trying to see what was going on.
That's
on
fine.
YouTube.
That's fine. I have Mitchell Peace Joy.
Hey, sis.
Hi,
Hey,
Jen.
Janetta.
Janetta.
That's my
Hi
sister.
there.
My sister in Christ.
Fantastic
Hey, sis.
information.
Amen. Thanks,
Wonderful.
Janetta.
Some people are just repeating what you said, from roommates to soulmates.
Yes,
Amen.
that's so
right.
true.
Y'all can,
Yes.
I give that one to you free, y'all. I don't charge y'all.
Here we have Sharon Johnson Wright. She says, I love getting counseled and coached. It really helped me navigate through life. Don't know where I'd be without them. They made
Amen.
me better in our marriage too. Oh, amen.
Amen,
Get that
Sharon.
godly counsel.
Testimony.
That's right.
Sharon.
Testimonies right here, right? That's
Right.
great. Here's one of ours here. We realize in our marriage that my husband is perfect when he's sleeping. I'm a perfect wife when I am sleeping.
You know, they'd be like, I'm dead.
Y'all doing better than me. I'm imperfect even when I'm sleeping.
Even when
I've
I'm
been
sleeping,
snoring
I'm
and
snoring, slopping.
drooling.
That's Vanessa. She's always joking around here. And my husband, of course, says, great interview, guys.
Amen.
Thank
Amen.
you so
Thanks,
much.
Mr. Nelson. Appreciate
God,
you, brother.
praise God. You know,
Yeah.
that is just
And here we
awesome.
have Fill My Cup, Lord. Yeah.
Amen.
Yes.
Jenny
Yes.
Joy, she was on our group had a relationship couples retreat, a virtual couples retreat.
Oh, nice.
Because we are with so many people all around the United States.
Yeah.
We have a couples retreat, and she was one of our speakers Sunday. And so she did amazing. She told
Jenny Joy, I love your name.
Don't you just
that's right.
I love her name. Every time I see it, I'm just like, I just have to say the whole thing. Like, I can't just say Jenny.
That's right. You got to say the whole thing.
You have to. One of
So
my sons
pretty.
has
I
a
love
hyphenated name. You got to say the whole name.
That's right.
You have to. So you have the Village of Rock Solid Relationship, and that is on Facebook. Right? Okay.
Yeah, and then also you can find us on Facebook at His and Hers Couples.
Oh, it was His and Hers. I knew I missed one. His and
Hers.
Then you have your website.
Okay. Yes, that's it. That's our website. If you want to go and check us out and read our profiles and just learn about our team and our mission statement, our vision for our practice, I think that website is pretty well developed. And we're working on our coaching because we literally just started the coaching in January. And our first paid group will be this summer. So it's going to be called Married to the Max. And so that is a place where you can come in and receive like group coaching. And you can also call us for one-on-one coaching because we also work with couples together as well.
I love it.
Different things that you can contact us for so that we can be a support to you and on this side of the vineyard. And so that's what we offer. And we just love couples. We love people. So.
Yeah. And we definitely are, want to continue to bring to, churches, a marriage after God's own heart,
right.
And so we definitely want to talk to husbands and wives that truly want to honor God and exalt him with their marriage relationships.
That's right.
And be very intentional about that.
Yeah. Because if the couple is strong, then the church will be strong. You know? Yeah. So if you really look at those couples, they're the ones who, have the children and do the service of the Lord's work. But if that couple is strong, the church will be strong. Amen. The church is strong, the community will be strong.
I love that. I love that. And I love that. I love that you're so like multifaceted. You're just like, it's just everywhere. It's like we take care of the kids. We from the crib to the
cradle to the grave.
That's right.
We say that from the cradle to the grave.
Y'all just like handle it all, and that is amazing. And people need that, and they need people that they can trust, and people that they can count on, and people that are people of God who are not afraid to say, this is what we do. Because if y'all not down with that, then
right. Yeah, absolutely. This is what we do. There's no shame in the gospel. That's the work of the gospel.
And if you're not, then you better come get some, because you're missing out. You definitely want to get in on it because there's no sweeter life. There's one that is in service to God and honoring him and glorifying him with my life.
Amen.
My life didn't have no meaning before I knew none. But now it's a blessing. It's a joy.
Absolutely.
I get up every day knowing what I'm here for.
Amen.
So it's a blessing.
Christina, you've been an amazing interviewer. You're
Oh,
beaming light through, this distance that we have. But I feel so connected to you in these moments. And
oh,
this
thank you.
conversation is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very, very encouraging. Very
Amen.
encouraging. Thank you so
Amen.
much. Yeah, everything I'm getting very good feedback when people are saying they had a fantastic job.
I love that.
All right.
Vanessa is so funny. She rhymes everything. Like she finds a rhyme for anything. I didn't see her.
That's my girl.
Vanessa. I didn't see it. You probably put one up, but and my husband, he says, first institutions that God created was the family and not the church.
Come on
absolutely.
now. Church came in Acts.
Yeah, there is no church without the family.
That's right. We are the church.
Husband and wife.
We are the church. We carry it around with us everywhere we go.
Absolutely.
That is so true.
Yeah, because I've known a lot of people. I know a lot of kids that I went to school that are PKs and everything, and they barely saw their fathers, especially a father who was constantly out on the road or constantly at the church, and they were doing church stuff, and not taking care of their families.
Yeah, I've seen that too, Christina.
And I think we can get a little bit of that too. I kind of, we're sometimes so focused on the practice and doing all the things that sometimes our kids are just coming along with us, and then all of a sudden one will act out in school. We'd be like, we haven't been spending enough time with the kids. So that's when okay, we got to pivot. We got to refocus. Yeah. And Reese is like, these boys need me. He's a really great dad. But at the same time, we're trying to balance too. So you're right, Christina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And anything else? Let me see here. Okay. Well, absolutely. Oh, this was an awesome interview. Thank you so much. Not even an interview. I hate calling them interviews. I rather say conversation.
Absolutely. It's a conversation.
Yeah, we had an awesome and an amazing conversation, and it held everyone's attention. Thank you so much for doing it. I told Valisa, I said, when she asked, like, well, what made you, come here? And I was just like, I was seeking for Mental Health Awareness Month to do a show on it. Yeah. And then you were doing a live video, and it just like popped up, and like literally just popped up, and I was like,
yeah, asking ye shall receive.
Okay. I guess this is our next topic. God will give it to you.
Okay, Lord, right here. Okay.
That's right.
Get her up.
That's right.
It's like, come through, Lord. Okay.
Like literally, it was almost like God, I need something for Mental Health Awareness Month. Boop, video. I was like,
these two, they're available. We're available.
Get them.
Fantastic. As Vanessa said, fantastic. I love that word.
Yeah, fantastic. For sure. We are so grateful, Christina. As you could tell, we're excited anytime we get a chance to talk about the wonderful work that God has blessed us to be able to do. So thank you so much for allowing us to
this platform.
Just come on and just talk about what
I know we can talk now. Come on, we probably talk for another 30 minutes. We love talking. And I saw someone said, have them on again.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for it. I was
it was Williams. The last name was Williams.
Sheila Williams.
She said, First Lady Nelson, please give Mr. and Mrs. Palmer, please have Mr. and Mrs. Palmer on the Christina Nelson show again. She said the whole word.
Yeah.
Christina Nelson show again. Thank you, Sheila.
Sheila or Shalia?
Sheila. It's Sheila.
Okay,
Sheila could be spelled two ways. The I before the L or after.
Yep.
Yeah. But she is very supportive. But I would love to have you back. We could, do something else. And
I'd love to come back.
Sure, anytime.
Yeah, we love traveling and talking and all that stuff. So we'll come. We're here for it.
All right. That would be amazing. My husband is saying something, but what did you say? Okay. I had to stop because he's over there. That's all I hear.
What did he say?
He said, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
He's saying about our couples retreat next year. So we're awesome.
Yes. Is it always virtual?
No, and next year we are trying to think about now doing it live next year. Both.
Amen.
Oh, like a hybrid,
like
broadcasting it, but also having it in person.
Great idea.
Yeah. Sign us up.
Yes.
we'll go anywhere as long as it's not, crazy. But but as long as it's tropical or or
We'll
city, we'll go. We're here for it.
Wherever the Lord
Wonderful.
sends us.
Wherever He sends us.
Amen.
Yeah, everybody is yeah. Oh, that's when my husband. Okay. Oh, I guess I missed this comment. So he was like,
There we go.
Thank you. We would love to be there as well, especially retreat.
Absolutely.
We need retreats now. We need
I think what invigorates us though is just being around like-minded.
Look who popped up here.
Yeah.
Williams family.
Oh, the Williams family. I love it.
Oh, Lamont and Denise.
I love it. Hey, y'all.
She said, y'all look good. Miss you.
Okay.
Oh, I love you, Denise.
Thank you, Denise. That's awesome.
Yep. So once again, thank you very much for being a part of this. I enjoyed myself. This was like a really good conversation. Everyone joy. Someone named Blissful said they really enjoyed themselves.
Amen.
I'm not sure if that's someone that you know or just someone.
Sometimes Blissful. I love your name.
Hey, Blissful.
Hey, girl. Yeah.
Like Jenny Joy. Blissful and Jenny Joy.
That's
Jenny
right.
Joy. That's what I'm talking. I got to bring both of them in my heart. Like that joy and that bliss. We need both of them.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I think the only thing we were missing, Christina, was dinner. Like this could have been. We could have had dinner.
Y'all just bring your dinner. Come on, we're gonna be here for a while.
Next time we'll sit around a table and eat and have fun.
That's right.
That's
right.
Oh wow.
Right. Good old Sunday dinner, family reunion style.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this time and this space and for having us.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you for saying yes. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely.
All right. So everyone, God bless you all. Thank you for watching. Those of you on YouTube, those of you on Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in tonight with my lovely guests. They have their websites up and just hit them up on Facebook. I'll put it in the group so you guys will be able to see where to get in touch with them at. This was such a great night. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it so much. So we are, what is tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow is Wednesday, guys. So Huddle family, this is for you. Tomorrow at Wednesday at 12 noon, Pastor Eric has his blog talk radio and he will have the subject. Do you remember the subject, babe? Or he has to go search for it. But in the meantime, then we have Friday Night Live, guys. And then Saturday, guys, ladies, Saturday is Pearls of Wisdom, the women's ministry. And we have the men's ministry, Huddle Up with Pastor Eric. So
I love it.
Pleasant words. Tomorrow is about pleasant words.
Amen.
Awesome.
Amen.
Don't forget to join the village. Just have 3 questions and jump on in the village of rock solid relationships.
The village of rock solid relationships, guys. The village of rock solid relationships.
And
Go do that.
And it's his and hers couples coaching on all social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram at his and hers couples coaching.
Okay. So
LinkedIn too.
LinkedIn and everything.
LinkedIn.
That's right.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Everyone have an amazing evening. God bless you. Thank you once again. I appreciate it. Love you to life. Thank you so much.
Take care, Christina.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
God bless you.
God bless you. Bye-bye now.